In the early years of commercial aviation, the sky was far less controlled than it is today. Mid-air collisions were not unheard of. Between 1948 and 1955, more than 100 such accidents occurred across the United States. But one collision, on a clear summer morning in 1956, would permanently change aviation history. On June 30th, 1956, two commercial airliners were flying high above the Grand Canyon in Arizona. One aircraft was a Trans World Airlines Lockheed Super Constellation, carrying 70 passengers and crew. The other was a United Airlines Douglas DC-7 with 58 people on board. Both planes were cruising at the same altitude, 21,000 feet, through uncontrolled airspace. At the time, air safety relied on a simple principle. Pilots were expected to see and avoid other aircraft visually. Radar coverage was limited. Air traffic controllers had little authority outside controlled zones. Pilots were largely on their own. As the aircraft approached the Grand Canyon, both deviated slightly from their planned routes, likely to give passengers a better view of the landscape below. Clouds obscured visibility. Cockpit blind spots narrowed the pilots' fields of vision. Neither crew saw the other aircraft in time. At approximately 10:30 a.m., the two planes collided in midair. The left wing of the DC-7 struck the tail of the Super Constellation, tearing it away instantly. With its tail destroyed, the Constellation became uncontrollable and plunged almost vertically into the canyon, disintegrating on impact. The DC-7, severely damaged, spiraled downward moments later and crashed into a rocky cliff. All 128 people aboard both aircraft were killed. It was the deadliest commercial aviation disaster the world had ever experienced at that time. The collision occurred in a remote area with no radar coverage. No distress calls were transmitted. For hours, no one knew what had happened. When both planes failed to report their positions, search operations were launched. Wreckage was eventually spotted deep inside the Grand Canyon. Rescue teams faced extreme terrain and isolation. Helicopters were required to reach the crash sites. The destruction was total. Most victims could not be identified. Mass funerals were held, and many were buried without names. The investigation that followed revealed a troubling truth. The crash was not caused by pilot error alone. It was the result of an outdated aviation system, one that relied too heavily on human eyesight and lacked centralized control. Cloud cover, limited cockpit visibility, and inadequate air traffic coordination combined with fatal consequences. Public reaction was immediate and intense. Americans demanded safer skies. In response, the U.S. government restructured the nation's air traffic system, creating modern aviation authorities, expanding radar coverage, and establishing strict separation standards between aircraft. These changes transformed commercial aviation. Today, flying is one of the safest forms of transportation in the world. That safety was built on lessons learned from tragedy. The 1956 mid-air collision over the Grand Canyon remains a powerful reminder that modern aviation safety was forged in the aftermath of disaster.